Good. I think we are good to go. Welcome to our first DClean webinar, Mapping the Danube region, regional insights into wastewater and stormwater challenges in small settlements. My name is Katharina Schilling. I'm the Secretary General of IAWD, an association of water utilities and other stakeholders in the Danube region. We are also a project partner under the DClean project, and it's my honor to moderate our first project webinar today. We will explore the current state of wastewater and stormwater management in the Danube River Basin today and discuss pathways for sustainable solutions. Before we jump into the topic, let me hopefully move, yes, my slides and do some housekeeping. Just for your information, this session will be recorded and made available on demand. And following the webinar, the on-demand recording and the presentation slides will be published on the DClean website. You can find the website here. We will post it in the chat, and you will see it also on other slides still today. Please note that we have two options for you and tools to interact with us. One is the chat box. Please use this for general requests and interactions with other participants. The other one is the Q&A box, and please use this one to send questions to the panelists. You will see that you can also directly approach one of the panelists there and can shoot a question directly there. You are also able to upvote other questions from other participants and comment on those. Finally, please note that your microphones are muted, so we cannot respond to raise hands. Here you can see our presenters and panelists of today, 6 great people. From all of them are project partners under DClean from all over the basin, and you will hear more from them later on, and I'll also give you a short biography of each and every one short before the presentation. But before we start, I would like to do a quick and short POLEF with you. Just to do a little bit of ice breaking and to get to know our audience. So it would be great if you could quickly scan the QR code with your phone. The code that you see here on the screen. And you can still scan it from the slide up there. And please just simply respond to the question that you should see on your phone, hopefully. And it seems to work because we get already a couple of good responses. From what I can see, we have quite some people from governments, but also utility associations, young water professionals, academia, utility, okay, even some donor IFIs, that's great. No regulators so far, but otherwise quite a good representative. Obviously, one decided not to be a donor. Good, okay, but it's a good overview to see who is there today. So please let us move to the next one. Where are you joining us from? So which is the country where you are based? Okay, quite a few people from Austria, Germany, Romania. Wow, okay. That's a big share. Bosnia, Bulgaria. Okay, so, but in any case, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 countries plus others. So quite a nice and distributed representation. Finally, we would be interested in one surprising fact that you know about water. Anything you would like to share with us is appreciated. I'm always very much impressed by the fact that water has the highest density at 4 degrees Celsius. Whatever you know, let us know, share it with us. If you're, what is life? I love it. Yes, very important. H2O, good. Nice. That's great. Has a calming effect. I like it a lot. I mean, probably you know these icebreaker questions. Doesn't work always, but I really like that you are sharing your thoughts with us. Thank you for that. Scarily limited on the planet. Yes, you're right. Economy, nature, life. Hot water freezes faster than cold water. That's interesting. Good. Thank you so much. I will stop it here and move on to our first presenter. And for that, I have to unshare my presentation. Our first presenter is Primož Skrt. He has a master in geography science. He's an experienced EU funding and water management expert with over 15 years of international experience in transnational cooperation. He works with Global Water Partnership Central and Eastern Europe, the leader of the DClean project, and he coordinates collaboration across the Danube region to advance sustainable wastewater and stormwater management. So Primož, please, the floor is yours.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Katerina, for this very nice presentation for Icebreaker, also to say some things about me. This saves us some time. And yeah, I'm today here as a representative of the lead partner, which is Global Water Partnership Central and Eastern Europe from Slovakia. We are leading the DClean project together with a lot of other relevant institutions. Some of them, they are presented here also afterwards. So a lot of experts in the field. And my task today is a bit to put the project into the concept, to say a few words what the project is about, what we want to achieve, what we are doing, what we will do, why we are doing it, and after that, our wastewater, stormwater expert will explain you a bit more about the tasks we already implemented. So I just, as always, a few seconds to share the screen. And classic question, if you can see it in the presentation mode. Yes, okay, great. Okay, so here we go. Few words about our project, which is called DClean. The long title is Improving Water Quality in the Danube River Basin, Nature-Based Solution for Sustainable Wastewater and Stormwater Management in Small Settlements. So to explain it really in a few words, our project aims to address the pressures, challenges related to wastewater and stormwater pollution in the small settlements in the Danube River Basin. And our plan is to raise awareness, build capacity, but also to identify, test, and showcase different practical solutions. We want to, of course, improve water quality through these activities, and how we want to do is by promoting the use of different sustainable wastewater and stormwater management practices, and providing stakeholders with necessary tools. So to sum up, we're talking about wastewater and stormwater challenges. We're talking about the Danube River Basin. We're talking about rural areas. We're talking about small settlements. We're talking about nature-based solutions, and our activities, our plans are really focusing on raising awareness, building capacities, providing tools to different stakeholders who are directly or indirectly working in this sector. Our key messages. So we want to demonstrate on one hand that nature-based solution can offer practical and cost-efficient solution for wastewater and stormwater management in small settlements, that they are adaptable to local conditions and can deliver multiple, not only environmental, but also social and economic benefits. So through this project, we will demonstrate these advantages of nature-based solution. Second one, we want to empower stakeholders with the knowledge, but also with the tools that are needed to, on one hand, to plan and also to implement these sustainable wastewater and stormwater solutions. How we will do this? Through different hands-on training, co-designing pilot areas, and the development of practical planning guides. And through this, we will basically strengthen local capacity and support long-term environmental resilience in the Danube River Basin. The third message is more strategic. We want to contribute to the implementation of different EU water policies by supporting countries in meeting the requirements of the revised Urban Wastewater Treatment Directive, Water Framework Directive, particularly focusing on small and rural settlements. And also developing different regional strategies, water national policies, providing target policies advices. So really, we are focusing on demonstrating the benefits, empowering stakeholders, but also contributing to the long-term effects through impacting different policies and strategies. Why did we decide to present this project, which was approved by Interreg Danube? So the first reason is policy background. There are several different policies. Just to mention here, Water Framework Directive and the Urban Wastewater Treatment Directive that places very ambitious requirements on the different EU member states. And these obligations will require significant investments in wastewater and stormwater infrastructure, effective management, and different cost recovery mechanism. So specifically to mention here, the revised Urban Wastewater Treatment Directive, which now explicitly addresses the challenges faced by small settlements with less than 2,000 population units. The previous directive was focusing on a larger urban agglomeration and settlements above 2,000 population units, but under the new provisions, all communities with 1,000 inhabitants or more will require to set up wastewater collection systems. So these are very practical reasons. Further on, to focus on the Danube region, we already identified previously their specific territorial characteristics and stakeholder needs. So in most countries in the Danube River Basin, rural wastewater management is a major challenge. You will also hear this today later when our experts will present some findings from the first activities of the project. But yeah, these challenges have direct impact to water quality, especially in the middle and lower Danube Basin and tributaries such as Tisa, Sava, and Mura-Drava basins. On the other hand, also local utilities face different difficulties because of different insufficient management skills and financial resources, as well as decentralized settlement needs. And yeah, the uptake of this sustainable solution is a main challenge, and it lacks expertise and financing, and it's also related to inconsistent planning, policy, and different institutional frameworks. The third reason is a strategic opportunity. I already mentioned some policy framework before, but these challenges or needs are also recognized by some of the main actors in the Danube region. Just to mention a few, USDR, ICPDR, they both have different objectives, different expert groups, different plans that prioritize nature-based solution, that prioritize rural region, and they directly mentioning the challenges related to wastewater and stormwater treatment in the region. So there is definitely a joint approach and the management of these solutions needed, especially in the small settlements, but it cannot be addressed locally. It needs to be addressed at the transnational level to exchange practices and also to ensure bigger impact of our activities. Okay, very shortly about the partnership of this project. So lead partner is Global Water Partnership CE from Slovakia. We are one of 10 partners, I think, together with University of Ljubljana, University of Boku from Austria, from Vienna, IAVD from Austria, that Katarina represented already, but we also have private companies such as Limnos, organizations from Hungary, Kotivizik, Peter is here today. Regional agency SREM from Serbia, Romanian Water Association from Romania, National Administration Romanian Waters also from Romania, and Međimurske vode from Croatia. This partnership is well supported with different associated partners covering different international, national, also local levels. And I think it's a necessary combination to implement activities. So we have really good know-how, we have experts for university, we have private companies who have experiences with implementing these solutions. We have associations of water utilities who know what the challenges are, and different authorities, regional and national, who are interested also to save topics on the ground. Very short, what we will do in the next 3 years. We have 3 main objectives. We want to analyze the situation, we want to train different stakeholders, and we want to upscale our findings and find solutions. I will not go now to the details of all these activities, but currently we're at the phase 1. We are still analyzing the situation, and when I finish, expert will represent some of the findings from these specific objectives to understand better what are the needs, what are the challenges, and what the actual situation in the region is when we talk about wastewater and stormwater treatment facilities. The second one, we want to train stakeholders. We will do this in different pilot areas. We have altogether 5 pilot areas, 2 in Hungary, 1 in Romania, 1 in Croatia, and 1 in Serbia. And we really identify stakeholders on the ground, perform training sessions, train them, but also this will lead to certain roadmap for expert and practitioners that can be used not only in the pilot areas, but also in any other area in the region. And as a third objective, it's more strategic, policy relevant. We want to upscale this solution. We want to raise awareness among policy makers. We want to prepare strategies, transnational strategy, to have a good background, good phase also for implementing these solutions on the wider scale and in the future. So yeah, we will have, I think, intense 3 years, well, now 2.5 years ahead of us. But yeah, we are confident that the challenges we are addressing, as I explained, on one hand, they need to be addressed because of environmental challenges, also because of the policy needs, and we have the adequate know-how to move this topic, to raise awareness on this topic, but also to showcase how this solution can benefit and how they can be implemented in concrete areas. At the end, here are some links. Please follow us, engage with us in different ways through the website, through our LinkedIn channels. You can also subscribe to our newsletter or write email. I put my email here, but also I'm sure that in the next slide you will see emails from other people who will present today. So yeah, I think there is more than 100 people presented here today, which also proves the relevance of this topic. We are starting today. This is actually the first webinar out of 6. So it's the first time we are publicly presenting the projects, its aims, and also some of the results. But please stay engaged with us, write to us, and we are more than happy to share with you all the findings and all the materials we'll produce in the following years. That's it from my side. If there are any questions, happy to answer. Otherwise, Katarina, I guess the words is yours again. Thanks again.
Thank you, Primož, for this comprehensive overview. And may I ask you to unshare your slides so that our next speakers can come in with their slides. I cannot see any immediate questions in the Q&A regarding your presentation. So this is why I would like to move on immediately to our experts, as you called them, on wastewater and stormwater management, who worked quite intensively over the last 6 months on the first report, the regional status quo. So Daria, Günther, and Alenka, I ask you already to share your presentation while I'm going to introduce you. Daria, I think you will start, right? Daria is an assistant professor in environmental engineering at the Faculty of Civil and Geodetic Engineering and the Faculty of Health Sciences at the University of Ljubljana, Slovenia. And her academic research centers on resource recovery from wastewater using nature-based technologies, including zero-discharge willow systems, algae photobioreactors, and green walls, as well as decentralized wastewater systems and sustainable water management. An additional presenter is Günther Langergraber from Austria. He's a senior scientist at the Institute of Sanitary Engineering and Water Pollution Control at Boco University in Vienna, with more than 25 years experience in wastewater and sanitation-related research. His main research topics being treatment wetlands, nature-based solutions, and resources-oriented sanitation systems. And Günther is also the co-chair of the recently established IWA cluster on nature-based solutions. If I'm not mistaken, that was just established this year. And finally, last but definitely not least, Alenka Zalasnik. She communicates nature-based solutions for Limnos company for applied ecology from Slovenia, where she's a project manager for the last 10 years. Her work focuses primarily on coordinating environment projects for improvement protection for regions and municipalities. And she has a master's degree in policy analysis from University of Ljubljana. So you can see three really great experts are lined up now for the next, I think, 25 or 30 minutes to guide you through the current status quo of the wastewater and stormwater management issues in the Danube region. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Katerina, for this nice introduction. So I can go straightly to the contents. But first of all, good afternoon to all the participants. So one of the first tasks of the DCLEAN project was to analyze the current situation of wastewater and stormwater collection and treatment in small settlements of the Danube River Basin. Why we would need such an analysis? So one of the key objectives of the project, as Primož explained, is also to suggest relevant and effective sustainable solutions that are tailored to the challenges and needs of small settlements. So in order to do that, we need to first assess the extent of current existing wastewater and stormwater infrastructure. We have to understand the legislative frameworks and management practices in all the countries, and we also have to identify strengths and weaknesses of potential solutions. So how we did that? We elaborated a comprehensive questionnaire that included 9 chapters of questions that covered topics such as number of settlements of different sizes, number of wastewater treatment plants, the technologies applied, capacity of those treatment plants, of course, discharge limits, monitoring protocols, and so on and so on. And we sent this questionnaire to the project partners from these countries you can see here. But we also wanted to go beyond the project consortia. So we identified countries that have more than 1% territorial share of the Danube River Basin. Those are these countries here. And we invited the experts from those countries to also participate in the survey. In this table, you can see all these 13 countries that have more than 1% territorial share of the Danube River Basin. And with blue, I marked the countries that actually provided feedback. So we got response from 10 out of 13 countries, which is a very good feedback. So we got information and data from all these countries, and with that we can cover actually 80% of the Danube River Basin. So our survey actually presents the situation in majority of the basin, and it also shows that there is a great interest in this topic. But before we go deeper into the results of our survey, we have to keep in mind that the countries in the Danube River Basin are very diverse. They have different historical background, different political stability, different economic strength, and all these influenced the pace of infrastructure development. So that's why there are big differences between the countries. And also EU membership has played a critical role in driving the improvements in infrastructure, especially because of the Urban Wastewater Treatment Directive. In this figure on the right side, you can see the improvement that was done in the last 10 years. So it shows the share of population using safely managed sanitation services for the total population. With green color, these are countries that are non-EU members, and the blue are the member countries. So there's a big difference between the two. But this, of course, presents the share of total population, covering also urban areas and large cities. But if we go deeper and see the situation in rural areas where small and dispersed settlements prevail, the situation is quite different. And this will be now presented in the next chapter by Gunther. Please.
Yes, thanks, Daya. Also welcome from my side. Can you go to the next slide, please? Yes, I think it's, I start with the summary of the settlements. We have a high number of settlements that are small in size, and it's about 60,000 settlements that have less than 2,000 inhabitants, or 55,000 less than 1,000 inhabitants, and this corresponds to more than 10 million, up to 17, 18 million people that live in this small settlement. These are estimations, but how did we get there? If you go to the next slide, please. We first looked into how settlements are defined in the different countries, and I just show a few examples here. But what they have in common, these examples, is that you have a larger unit, that's the municipality, that's usually that has a local self-government, like a mayor or something, and then these larger units are split into smaller settlements. You see the examples here from Austria, Slovenia, and Croatia. In these municipalities, there's also the distinction between towns and other municipalities. They are all called different in the different countries, but what is quite in common, that you have a high share of the small, that the largest share is small settlements. Here people numbers given for settlements below 2,500 people for Austria, and below 2,000 people for the other two countries. Yeah, just as an example, we don't need to look exactly at these numbers. If you can go to the next slide, please. Daya already mentioned the Urban Wastewater Treatment Directive, where we have this definition of an agglomeration. So agglomeration is defined in the treatment directive, that the population needs to be of a specific density, that it makes sense to construct or to collect the wastewater for treatment in these areas. And the directive gives also some indicative reference that it's between 10 and 25 people or person equivalent, as the directive says, per hectare is the density of population, where it makes sense to go for a centralized treatment. Most of actually this Urban Wastewater Treatment Directive is relevant for all of the countries, either because they're member states, or the other countries in the Danube region are on the way to become member states, or candidate countries at the moment. So we all have to look into this. The directive defines that wastewater treatment has to be implemented for agglomerations larger than 1,000 people. So, and this is the new directive. The old one was 2,000 people, so we still have these two numbers in our evaluation. And just the approach that we have chosen in Austria to cover this. So we say that an agglomeration is the catchment area of a treatment facility, of a wastewater treatment plant. And then we have these agglomerations above 1,000 people, connected, and then we say that there are small urban wastewater treatment plants for those that are below 1,000 down to a number of 50, and individual systems for treatment systems smaller or less than 50 people connected. A kind of special situation in Austria is that we almost covered all the country with wastewater treatment, so we are quite far ahead and as comparing to other countries in the Danube region. A work that we did on the way to estimate the effects of the new urban wastewater treatment directive was that we tried with some colleagues from the research institute in Italy, Alberto Pistocchi in particular, to estimate how much small settlements we have in European countries. And you see here those countries with a star that are not EU members at that time, and not that now. So that the aim was to look at the existing European Union, and for this work I tried to estimate also for the other countries in our list in the Danube region how many small settlements do we have, and there the number of 60,000 comes from. This is a rough estimate that gives we can discuss about these numbers, but these are all estimated numbers based on some geographical data from the countries. It just tells you we have quite a high number of small settlements that we have to deal with when we talk about rural wastewater treatment. Let's move to the next one. Coming back to this, I already mentioned it again. This just shows you the number, and we can go on to the next slide. Now we also looked in what's the situation now regarding wastewater collection and treatment. And again, here please go again to the next slide. I'll do the summary later, I decided now. What is quite typical in all the countries is that the connection rate to treatment facilities is larger in urban areas. This is the blue bars compared to the rural areas in the red bars on this slide, and this comes from the hopefully soon to be released the new state of the sector report from the Danube Water Program. Maybe a little contradictory what I said before, that in Austria we have covered all the wastewater treatment already, so there's a missing part in the very right bar, in the red bar. In this graph, it only shows the treatment plants above 50 people connected. So there are these individual systems are missing in this part. So this is the part that's missing in the rural areas here. So if we continue to the next one, what are potential technologies that we can apply in rural areas? We could either go for on-site collection and off-site treatment. This is quite simple in the design, but very costly in the operation usually, because you have to have a tight container and the wastewater has to be transferred to a near treatment plant. And the new directive gives us some stricter requirements for treatment of wastewater in rural areas. So it requires at least biological treatment. So all the options that are in between and are not in blue color, like soak pitch, leach fields, septic tanks, will be not longer state of the art, and so not longer a legal option for the rural areas. There will be times until this has to be implemented. So that leaves us with some solutions that have at least secondary treatment, and you see some examples of potential treatment technologies on the right side of this slide. Basically, we have technologies with suspended growth of biomass. We have some with attached growth of biomass, and we have treatment systems that are more natural, like treatment wetlands. So if we can go to the next slide, please. All these treatment options have different qualities that we can achieve for the different parameters. I don't want to go into detail here, but you can see these numbers then also in the report when it's released. So we can continue to the next one. Again, giving you the examples of Austria, where I have the best data, we have almost 30,000 treatment plants in place, and you see that 94% are small treatment systems below 50. But this only represents about 1% of the design capacity of these treatment plants. Please click one more. When we look at the technologies that are applied, if we look for the larger plants, and this is still small, above 500, but there we have 80% are conventional activated sludge plants. Then we have SBR plants and only one wetland system in place for the larger system. If you can click one more. If you look for the plants between 50 and 500 people connected, we already have about 10% of wetland system. And if you click further, we have about 20% of wetland systems in the smaller size of the treatment plants. And there's an estimate how many cesspits or tight containers we still have left for on-site collection, off-site treatment. This is still the case for about 200,000 people in Austria. So they are not connected, they don't have a treatment facility on site or are not connected to a treatment facility. If we go to the next slide, please. We also connected the number of treatment plants in the target countries that was mentioned before, and the design size. It ends up in a number of about more than 40,000 treatment plants that are smaller size, and the numbers in some of the countries are not so. There are not a lot of small treatment plants in a lot of countries yet. We go to the next one. And finally, we looked into the different treatment technologies that are applied in the countries. And at the bottom, you see also the number of treatment plants in these countries. So you see the green bar showing the share of nature-based solutions or treatment wetlands and some other systems here. It's different, but you always have also to consider that the size of the sample size is quite different in the different countries. Coming to the last one. Yeah, now we identified around a few thousand small treatment plants between 50 and 2,000 people design size with a total design capacity of a little less than 2 million people. But an estimate is also that about 85% of the smaller capacity, the smaller pollution pollution from smaller settlements is not treated in the Danube region. And when we summarize which technologies are mainly used, we have mainly technical systems like activated sludge or SBR. And there are some challenges with the adoption of nature-based solutions like treatment wetlands, and this is also one of our tasks in the program, in this project, to look into specifically how we can increase the adaptation of this technology in the Danube region. So with this, I'm at the end, and I hand over, I think, to Alenka or Daya.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so then we also gathered the information on discharge limits of the treated effluent from these small wastewater treatment plants. And the general observation is that all countries do regulate the discharge also from the small treatment plants with a capacity between 50 and 2,000 PE. And in some cases also the smallest ones below 50 PE follow the same rules, while in some countries there are specific sets of discharge limits specifically for the smallest treatment plants below 50 PE. The discharge limits are often based on the plant capacity. This is applied in Austria, Germany, Serbia, Slovakia, and Slovenia. So different sizes of treatment plants have different discharge limits, but in Hungary and Romania, actually independently of the plant size, the discharge limits are based on the type of recipient. So if it's a sensitive water body and so forth. And in some countries, there are also special limits for special locations, like for example, in Austria for remote locations like mountain huts, and in Slovenia, if the discharge goes to bathing waters. This table gathers the discharge limits according to wastewater treatment parameters for all the countries. And as you can see, all the countries have discharge limits for BOD and COD, but the values vary greatly. So here it's not distinguished between the size, the capacity of the treatment plant, but generally, for example, COD ranges from 50 to 200 milligrams per liter. Many countries, the majority of countries also regulate total suspended solids. It's not regulated only in Austria and Slovenia. And majority of countries also regulate nutrients in the discharge of small wastewater treatment plants. Especially ammonia, nitrogen is regulated in all countries except in Serbia and Slovenia. And approximately half of the countries regulates phosphates or total phosphorus. So these nutrient limitations are also important because some technologies of small wastewater treatment plants may have some challenges in removing those. Then we also asked about monitoring protocols. In general, the larger the treatment plant, the more frequent the monitoring. This is applied in many countries, this approach. Then there are also different financial responsibilities. Treatment plants that have more than 50 PE capacity are usually public, run by a public water utility, and also the monitoring is in the responsibility of the public utility, while the private ones are owned by the owners, of course, and they have to carry also the financial responsibility of the monitoring. The level of ordinance is in majority of countries done on the national level. So there are some national regulations that set exact frequency and what parameters have to be monitored at what time. But in some cases, it's also done on the local level and it's site specific. For example, like in Czechia, it depends on every specific location of the treatment plant. So this table gathers information on the monitoring frequency according to the wastewater treatment plant capacity. You can notice immediately that also the categorization of treatment plants by capacity is differently done in different countries. But in general, plants that have capacity between 1,000 and 2,000 PE, they are monitored between 2 times per year to 6 times per year in Slovakia and Austria, and up to monthly monitoring in Germany. But the smallest ones, they are maybe not even monitored, like in Serbia, or visual inspection every 3 years, like in Slovenia, or only on if authorities demand it in Hungary, and up to 4 times per year, for example, in Republika Srpska of Bosnia and Herzegovina, or in Romania, which is where these countries have also the same approach for all size categories. Now I would hand over to Alinka to say a few words about the management plans.
Yes, hello and good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Nadia. In our analysis, we took a look into how countries tackle the programming efforts to plan collection and treatment obligations. And on the next slide, we shall see that national operational programs are part of the reporting requirements under the already mentioned Wastewater Treatment Directive. And from 1st January on 2028, member states shall establish a national implementation program in accordance to the revision, which is highly responsible also to support of our project here. The directive now includes, as mentioned, agglomerations of 1,000 PE and above, and sets the new deadlines for compliance. In the region, most reported countries have national or regional wastewater management plans. 2 countries, which is Germany and Czechia, rely mainly on legislation rather than dedicated plans. Some countries have ongoing updates to align with EU directives, and the rest promise to do so by the date stipulated in the directive, which is 2035. So planning documents are often prepared also by different institutions. for different territorial units, sometimes river basins, different entities, administrative levels, and for different time frames, resulting in a quite fragmented planning landscape. We shall now go and see the gradually a look towards smaller agglomerations. Daria, if you can continue. Taking a closer look into small agglomerations will tell us that the situation is different for smaller settlements. In most countries, planning and regulatory coverage remains limited or absent, and in the table we can see how countries plan to proceed. In Austria and Germany, as mentioned, all agglomerations above 1,000 PE are connected to wastewater treatment, and the analysis of the remaining national schedule shows that most countries will do this until end of 2035, or are still in the process of adapting their national frameworks. If we continue further to the local management plans, there is no uniform approach also in this regard, in regard of the local wastewater management planning. The most common approach is the obligation of municipalities to organize plans, and some are assisted by regional level. Croatia and Romania rely on centralized frameworks and water authorities, while others, like Serbia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, report a more project-based approach. Generally, we can say that municipalities with, of course, stronger administrative and financial capacity are better able to develop local plans, while smaller municipalities often depend on either national authorities or international donors, and here practices are quite different. An even more closer look, if we follow the next slide, for smaller settlements that are with less than 1,000 PE, shows even larger gaps. Wastewater collection and treatment relies here on local initiatives or regional frameworks, and we can see anything from formal municipal plans to project-based approaches. In some countries, regional strategies provide the main framework for small settlements if national regulations are absent. Small agglomerations are most dependent on local capacity, on funding, and on technical support, which all will be tackled in our project as well. We could see that local authorities do implement decentralized solutions, including nature-based solutions like constructed wetlands or small-scale treatment systems like in Austria, Czechia, Germany, Serbia, Slovenia, Bosnia. So all this is a positive approach. So to sum up the situation in the management, there is significant heterogeneity, and the planning for wastewater collection and treatment in small settlements is still in very early and uneven stages across the region. We also, in the questionnaire, provided us also with the insight into the collection of stormwater in small settlements below 2,000 PE. And yes, thank you. Generally, we can establish that a separate sewer systems dominate in new developments. I think we can move on with the slide. And combined sewers are mainly found in older village centers or larger towns. This is quite normal for the region. The responsibilities for management of stormwaters depend either on utilities or municipalities or cities themselves. So this is also not a uniform approach. Across the region, small settlements face similar challenges in managing stormwaters. Here are three mentioned, namely pluvial flooding, combined sewer overflows, and infrastructure constraints. So all countries report on pluvial flooding and system overloads due to intense rainfall stimulated by climate change. And countries report on lack of infrastructure, complication in sewer and wastewater treatment operations, and even devastating torrential flows. So this is an important issue for them. Combined sewer overflows, particularly where stormwater is mixed with sanitary sewage, is also highly on the problem scale. Infrastructure and land constraints, particularly when many small communities across the region report insufficient or outdated infrastructure, but not just infrastructure, also maintenance shortfalls. We took a closer look also at the national regulation in the regard of stormwater. And here the regulatory landscape for stormwater management also varies significantly across the region. Most countries regulate stormwater through general water laws or construction codes, with few having specific provisions tailored to small settlements. So generally, we can say that stormwater management varies anything from treatment under more strict regulation to routing into the discharge after collection in natural surfaces. So on the next slide, we can see a mix of practices identified on how to manage stormwater. And this depends either on awareness that varies a lot in the region, and due to the focus on our project of NBS, we can observe that the practices of nature-based solutions are present in several national practices like infiltration swells, rain gardens, but their uptake is uneven. Rainwater harvesting is present, but mostly on household scale, and spatial planning is the main tool or the main mechanism to integrate stormwater management into the development decisions. So thank you very much, and I'll pass the word back to Daria for strengths and weaknesses,
Yes.
and we'll talk later.
And Daria, please make sure we have to be brief now. Just like
Yes.
2 to 3 minutes left, please.
Yes, yes. Okay. Well, we also wanted to ask the experts to identify strengths and weaknesses of decentralized systems and nature-based solutions. So we asked them to rank first decentralized systems like very disadvantages with -2 or up to 2 very advantages across different categories like investment, management and control, design, financing, stakeholder involvement, effect on water cycle, resource recovery, and also other potential categories that would be find relevant by the experts. So in general, the decentralized systems were well perceived. They were seen as advantages across many categories, especially regarding simple design, easily involved stakeholders, positive effect on water cycle. Some concerns were expressed mainly in the management and control part. Similarly, with nature-based solutions such as treatment wetlands were perceived positively across majority of categories and also in all the countries, maybe not that favored by Hungary, but especially well graded by Romania, Bosnia, Austria, and also Serbia. So to speed up, here at the end, we have also a very nice chapter of best practices at in the region, which I think is important to mention, because this perception of nature-based solutions and decentralized systems is also based on the experience that experts have and what is already existing and how it is working. So let's just have a minute or two on best practices that will be presented by Alinka.
Yes, thank you. From the next slide, I will just ask everybody to share your best practices and best cases and experiences that you are proud of with us, because it's really important in this initial stage that good stories are also communicated. Let's forward on the next slide to see some of the positive experiences. We've mentioned already a lot of constructed wetlands for wastewater treatment with multi-beneficial approach and results. Simple to operate. These are just a few of the identified ones. On the next slide, we can see good progress and good experiences with stormwater management. So the partners have reported decentralized rainwater management. We have here urban solution, the rain gardens, which has developed quite a lot of these practices, particularly in Austria and other countries. And here we have 2 rainwater lagoons from Croatia, also looking very nice. And then forward, this is a Hungarian best practice. It is a live project. is revealing the benefits of integration of nature-based solutions for wastewater management in local planning. So this is how we can store the water for reuse, preventing floods and droughts. Very nice approach. And finally, I would like to haste to this best practice from Austria. It's not on an infrastructure level, but it's organizational approach, how to improve the efficiency of small wastewater treatment plants. In Austria, they are mainly managed in several ways. It can be either from an owner of wastewater treatment plant, which is giving additional knowledge to operate and to maintenance its own small wastewater treatment plants, so it performs better. Either another approach is the use of wastewater cooperatives. These are public law bodies where the users of the services share ownership and responsibility for the small wastewater treatment plant. Or the third option is, of course, to for the small wastewater treatment plant to be operated by municipal utilities. So it's not just the infrastructure, it's also the management, the knowledge, skills to how to operate and improve the efficiency of this infrastructure. And it's also a very important part of the story. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Daria, Günther, and Alenka. Please make sure to unshare your screen so we can see each other again. Thank you so much. Also, just to remind you, the audience, we will make the presentation available and also the report as soon as it's finalized on our website. So you can also have a look into those best practice examples as soon as they're online. I see an immediate follow-up question. Not sure you can respond to that or you have a response, but there is a question on the number of small settlements. Do you have a number for France? I know it's not in the scope of the region of the project, but it has high number of localities, more than 34,000.
Yes,
Any ideas about France? Okay.
I can briefly respond. I had time to look it up because it's in the original publication. It covers the member states. If we compare the Danube basin, the Danube basin has about 800,000 square kilometers. France has about 650,000. The population in the Danube River Basin is about 80,000. In France, it's 75,000. So France is a little more densely populated than the Danube River Basin, a little smaller. So for the Danube River Basin, we said we have about 60,000 small settlements below 2,000, and the publication states about 70,000 for France. So that's the range. It's nice to compare. It's about the same size, about the same population, and about the same number of small settlements.
Thank you so much, Günther, for taking your time and use it efficiently and look up the response already. So we hope we have answered your question. Please make sure, I mean, I can see also 2 more questions in the Q&A, but now while I'm getting into additional panelists that are here with us today, please make sure to use the Q&A box also to feed in your questions in case you have any. And now I would like to move over to our 2 additional speakers and panelists, Corina Boscornea and Peter Catona. Corina is a Romanian national expert who is working at the National Administration Romanian Water since 2005. She has graduated in chemical engineering science and obtained a PhD in technical sciences. Since 2010, she is head of office in the Department of European Integrated Management Plans and Water Resources, and she mainly deals with the implementation of the Water Framework Directive and the Urban Wastewater Treatment Directive. Peter Catona is a civil and environmental engineer and expert team leader in the DCLEAN project, and since 2013 he works with the Middle Tisza District Water Directorate in Hungary in the area of surface water management. So welcome, Corina and Peter. And I would like to ask you for your immediate feedback on the presentations you have just heard, the results from the report, also from your perspective, but also obviously from your country perspective. So maybe, Corina, if you want to start, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Katerina. Yeah, it was a very pleasure to see this presentation. I read also the report. So for my perspective, the report is very useful to take an overview of what is happening in the Danube region. And of course, my impression is that there are two parts of Danube, that it's upper, where there are developed countries, that EU old countries that already has a big experience, good experience in implementation of natural-based solution, and also have advanced in technology and also apply on stormwater management in the good condition. And the central and then the southwest part of Danube, where the countries begin to implement this kind of let's say, a way to deal with wastewater management in small agglomeration, but also to deal with the climate change. That is very important also. So I think the result of this report can be a start point for, let's say, to make an analysis, and of course, for the perspective to additional pilot projects. Also, we can set up the scene and make some, let's say, policy documents, some guidelines, and that can help, especially the southwest countries to implement in a better way the management over stormwater management, and also the natural-based solution. That is really a new concept. For example, in my country, this natural-based solution is most dedicated to the biodiversity. So we use the wetlands and so on, and also we apply in the since 10 years also for flood protection. But in the perspective for the treatment of wastewaters is not so useful. We had sometime one pilot, but it's not working now. So with this project, the results will help us to start to implement and to apply the institutional, to improve the capacity, and have all the tools to use these concepts and to make it working. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Corina. Peter, please give us your perspective and the perspective of Hungary a little bit. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Katarina. Welcome everybody in the first DayClean webinar. I think the DayClean project is a very relevant at the moment, because I think everybody knows that there is a new urban wastewater directive, and this directive there are some obligatory in the EU member states, like have to solve the wastewater management between 1,000 and 2,000 people equity settlements. But in Hungary, and I think the whole Danube river basin, there is a lot of small settlements which below than 1,000 people equality. And at the moment, the urban wastewater directive don't care about these so small settlements. And in Hungary also no any regulation to solve the wastewater management in these settlements. In Hungary, in general, spared the conventional wastewater treatments like cash systems or HBR systems, but not use nature-based solution in wastewater treatment. But I think the nature-based solution can provide a sustainable solutions for source settlements in wastewater management. And at the moment, in end of this moment, we'll open a call for proposals in Hungary to solve the wastewater management in small settlements using by nature-based solutions. So we will capacity our stakeholders, settlements in our pilot area to take part in these proposals. And I hope, and I think I know, we will learn a lot of new techniques and experience from DayClean projects. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Peter. Thank you, Corina, again, for providing this perspective. So for what I can hear from you, from Romania and Hungary, that is that nature-based solutions are actually not really very common in terms of treatment for wastewater and stormwater management. So, I mean, in that regard, I realized also in the presentation, it was mentioned that decentralized systems and nature-based solutions are promising but underutilized. Can any one of the speakers maybe let us know what kind of practical steps can help to overcome any kind of regulatory and financing barriers to implement those solutions? And what can the project obviously do, or what will the project do to help promote nature-based solutions?
Maybe I can start with the experience from Austria, where we implementing wetland systems for wastewater treatment since the 1990s. There were the first systems built, and a lot of people were skeptical. And what was the real game changer was when the first design standards were coming up, so that the authorities could see this is state of the art. And then there was a real boost in the application. And these design standards are based on experience still, how they are made at the moment. And as this experience is lacking in some countries, and authorities are always critical to adapt solutions from other countries so easily. In addition, the climates are not in all the countries in the Danube region the same, and with nature-based solutions like treatment wetlands, the sizing is also related to mainly the minimum temperature that we have to face in the winter months. Yeah, there are some challenges to come this, but one thing is design standards that are applicable over a larger area would be a big step forward to implement this. And the other thing is for sure to promote these technologies and raise awareness among different actors. I mentioned the authorities, but also the planners have to know that these technologies exist and that reliable effluent concentrations or treatment efficiencies can be produced by treatment systems. And this means we have to start also at the education, where the technicians get educated at the university. So it's a multi-layer approach. It's needed, and we try to cover some of this in the project, but we try, at least in our pilot areas that were mentioned in the 4 countries, at least to initiate this process, and then we hope that this will spread out to the other areas in our partner countries, but also in the neighboring countries in the Danube region. And it was great to hear from Peter that there is an initiative, some calls for proposal in Hungary, and hopefully this will also happen in other countries. And these are good opportunities when we can interact and with these initiatives to promote these technologies.
Thank you, Günther. So I take away like design standards, education of designers and consultants, and promotion and awareness raising. Anyone else, like from academia perspective, maybe on the university, or Primoz, please come in.
Yeah, more from the project perspective. I think it also relates to the question that was posed a bit. So Günther already mentioned we will now a bit more focus on the pilot areas, but the objective is not to stay there. It's just more manageable. But the idea is really to explain how things needs to be done, what needs to be taken into consideration. We want to train relevant stakeholders, but out of this we will also produce relevant roadmaps, guidance documents that can be replicated or used by any experts working in the field in the relevant countries. And also what actually I raised my hand because of something else, because it was great to see that despite there are different levels of use of this technology, we could see good practice examples from all the countries. So things are being implemented, things are obviously possible. We saw, like in Alenka's slide, from Serbia, from from Bosnia, from Hungary, from all the countries where this technology is still not used as in some other countries, but obviously it's possible. So it's really just one of the objectives is really to show what are the benefits, how this is possible, of course, also to train relevant people to gain the knowledge, to gain capacity, and to spread the use of these technologies in the future.
Thank you, Primož. And good news is that the project will provide training and also strategy and a roadmap for nature-based solutions. Daria.
Yes, I just wanted to add a little bit on Gunther and also now on Primož's comment. There is actually a gap in many different layers. So we have to improve this capacity in many layers, and also, of course, in education, informal education as well, because solutions like nature-based treatment technologies are in many countries not lectured. So the designers actually get this knowledge later on when they actually come to work in the area, and so it's sometimes really challenging for them to find this knowledge. But on the other hand, we have a really big pile of knowledge in the academic sector on different types of nature-based treatment technologies. So all the knowledge is actually there, but we just have to transfer it to the right people and come to good case studies. So, and here I would also like to point out that it's important when we work in pilot areas or when some countries apply, for example, a first treatment wetland, that it's really important that it's also run appropriately, that the operation and maintenance are appropriate to really have a good case study, because there are also examples of case studies that failed. So this we have to avoid with the appropriate capacity building before we come to the construction phase. This is what I want.
Thank you, Daria. So include the knowledge about nature-based solutions also in the curricula, obviously. Peter, you also have raised your hand. Any
Yes.
feedback?
I just say something in connection with the topic that I agree with Günther that the very important training, the information, because the biggest barriers in Hungary, the lack of knowledge in connection with the nature-based solutions. But I will be honest, I am also a little bit skeptic with in connection with the below 50 people equality individual system. I don't know how can we operate professional these facilities, and there is a lot of question in connection to this, because at the moment I can't imagine that that this individual system can work in Hungary, because it worked the individual system only if affected only one houses, one family, but more family together, I think it can't work in Hungary. But maybe in the future we will some pilot actions and we will see the results. But at the moment I am a little bit skeptic.
Thank you, Peter, for this comment. Corina, I see you have raised your hand, but I think it's meant for another question. So I would like to bring Alenka in again, because I think you would like to comment on what Peter has said, right?
Yes, everything, not just Peter, but everybody before also. It's not just the knowledge and the design, but also space. This is the spatial planning and the coordinated spatial planning from different sectors, because otherwise the certain space which could be used for nature-based solutions, which could be multifunctional, is left for a single use, for example. So this cooperative spatial planning is something that we experienced the lack of in Slovenia, and I suppose elsewhere too.
Thank you so much, Alenka, and all the others for this first round of comments and feedback. I can see a question here in the Q&A. In Romania, the procurement law is very restrictive and does not allow any alternative technology. How can we overcome this hurdle? And I think, Corina, you have a response to that.
Yes, of course, this question, maybe I need more detail, because when we talk about the general procurement law, there are no specific recommendation what type of technology to use. I think they refer also to the European procurement procedure, when it's not useful to apply this kind of natural-based solution. This is maybe the sense of the question. But I would like to mention that for Romania, we have to prepare a design standard for this type of technology. I think it's necessary. And also we need to improve the legislation, and we're introducing this type of treatment to be used, recommended as in the law, to use this type of treatment in the small agglomeration. And obviously there will be subject of procurement procedure, because it's stipulated in the law this aspect. So we need to make some steps, and finally to have let's say a good procurement law to cover all the treatment type of wastewater.
Thank you, Corina. So still some work to do on the administrative side. Günther, you also have raised your hand.
There's only one answer to this question. We should speak of state-of-the-art technologies of wetland systems, what they are, and not of alternative solutions. They're just another type of treatment technology, and then we can easily overcome this. To Peter's skepticism about the small systems, they even work better for smaller systems than any technical systems, because when you don't need external energy to achieve your treatment, I think it's much better than if you have to make sure that pumps are running, the blowers are running in any technical solutions for small systems.
Thank you for this very relevant point. So call it state of the art, and that solves your problem, obviously. We have talked quite a bit now about design standards, educating designers, etc., spatial planning, the space that you need. But I can also see a question here in terms of operation and maintenance of the systems and the need for building the technical and institutional capacity. So the question is actually, building technical and institutional capacity is essential for small settlements to implement sustainable wastewater and stormwater solutions. What practical steps can be taken to strengthen local expertise and ensure long-term operation and maintenance of these systems? And I'm also looking at Günther specifically, because I know we have in Austria quite an extensive education system here. So please, the floor is yours.
Yeah. Also from the project perspective, just to say that we plan to develop materials that can be used for training of different actors groups, like administrations, like planners, and see how far we get. This is planned there, but also the experience from Austria shows where we are running this. We're running specific training courses for operators of small systems with less than 50 people connected, and those courses are run since the year of 2000. So my former boss started these courses, and we have now run almost 300 of these courses over the course of the years, and since almost 10 years I'm taking care of these courses. And the experience shows that independent of the technology that is implemented for the small systems, it helps when the owner gets some knowledge, and what we train them is basically how the systems are functioning, what is a wastewater treatment system, why you have to do it, and what are the crucial steps in operation and maintenance that you should take and you have to do on a legal basis to make sure that your system is fulfilling the requirements, but also we give some hints on what are the practical issues, what you have to look at, what are the main points you have to look at that the systems are working.
Thank you so much, Günther. I do not see any other response from any other of the panelists. So then let's go to the next question. I don't see currently one in the Q&A. So please, people, I think you're many, still more than 100. Feel free to come in with any kind of questions. But I would like to know, I mean, we see very obviously significant progress in countries like Austria, Germany, Slovenia, and Czechia, but slower development in other areas. What kind of lessons, and I mean, we heard already a few, but what could be transferred from these front runners to Central and Southeastern Europe? Any ideas,
So
dear panelists?
Okay, I can take the floor. So first of all, it's very important their practical experience. So the transfer of know-how and the technology implementation is very useful for us to see how it's working, because it's the most important proof, the demonstrative pilot, let's say, case, and you see in real life what have to do and what is working. This is first of all. The second, it's the institutional, let's say, and the institutional and the socio-economical aspects are very important in this case, because I think natural-based solution it's more adequate for small agglomeration more than 1,000 population, because here we need to have large, let's say, a large control, and we need to have trained people. They need to learn and be trained how to operate, maintain, and have a sustainability of this functioning of natural-based solution. And the third part is the financial aspects, because they are very interesting as the last part, because we implement institutional aspect, we plan, let's say, the design capacity for this kind of treatment, and the last action is to finance. Yeah. So for the small agglomeration, very small, I think the local authorities are in charge to finance this type of treatment, but when increasing the size of agglomeration will be involved, also can be involved also the national budget. And not at least if even a new requirement for agglomeration between 1,000 and 2,000 can be eligible for European funds, I think. So we can have the opportunity to explore this type of funding sources and to select and make a plan. This is because we have a lot of thousands and thousands of small agglomeration below 2,000. So it's necessary to have a plan for the medium and long term. This is important.
Thank you so much, Karina, and also for bringing up the topic of financing, which is for sure one of the bottlenecks in the whole story. Peter, I can also see that you're raising your hand, and after that, Alenka, please.
Yes, of course. So we should learn from our neighbors, then mainly the know-how, the appropriate techniques to how to use the natural-based solution. And I think we have to learn about the infrastructure, the operation and maintenance of this infrastructure, because in Hungary the legislation is fit for the natural-based solution. Is not the barriers, any laws or any legislations. So the legislation is support the natural-based solution, but not spared in Hungary. So I think we have to learn to technical, operational, and the maintenancing side these nature-based solutions, because in Hungary mainly use the centralized system, but in small settlements mainly is a better option the centralized system. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Alenka.
Yeah, just a short comment. It's not just the wastewater treatment plant itself. It's very relevant. Is also how the sewage system is designed, defined, and this is also part of this project to design a decision support tool to envisage the whole operation, the collection and the treatment, which is, according to our small municipalities, a considerable issue, cost, and factor in deciding what kind of treatment we should have. And yes, I agree with Corina, the pilot must work perfectly, and then everything is easy from then on.
Thank you so much, Alenka. Time is running and we will soon come already to the last questions. But before that, I would like to bring in a comment actually that I can see in the Q&A from Doro Popper from Romania. Good to have you, actually, Doro, here. He is echoing what has been said already, that the NBS is not embraced neither by the designers nor the operators, who are a bit reluctant and prefer to use existing technical solutions, which are already here, although expensive and not effective in terms of treatments. More than that, the technical standards prevent adopting NBS. The situation is similar to other innovative solutions. Sharing success stories is a good initiative. And in that context, I wanted to ask, do we have some kind of compendium platform whatsoever where best practice examples are shared? Any knowledge on that? Any idea from you, the panelists?
You mean like best practice examples that could be visited by people and see it? In this
Exactly.
Scattered around different platforms. Also like some freely available books. There was, for example, one book published by International Water Association that presents actually all different types of nature-based treatment technologies and also provides a case study for each of the technologies. Then there is a platform, Water Knowledge Hub by Global Water Partnership, where there are also some case studies. We wish there would be more, but that there is space where more studies could be presented. And there is also a platform, community of practice on nature-based solutions in this Water Knowledge Hub, which everyone can join in and discuss also between the members what are some best practices around the world, because it's a global network. So it's scattered around, and if there is a wish, people can find a lot of information about existing examples.
Thank you, Daria. So I think it might be a good idea to collect all those links. We can put it on our website of DClean, also shared with all the registered participants here, so that at least we have one spot where a couple of links are collected. And Doro is also mentioning the Nature-Based Solution Specialist Group of the International Water Association, just for your information. As I said, time is running, but still I would like to put a final question forward to everyone, and please try to respond really brief. If you could prioritize one action for the next 5 years to improve wastewater and stormwater management in small settlements, what would it be? Who wants to start? Just one action, one key. Yes, Peter, please.
I would like to start. So I think in Hungary, first of all, would like have to collect the biggest problems. So first of all, have to prioritize because in small settlements, I'm not sure the biggest problem the wastewater management in mainly mountains area. The heavy rain effect, the storm management is a bigger problem. So first of all, I think should prioritize which problem have to solve.
Okay, always a good approach. Anyone else?
For me, it would be capacity building on different levels.
Thank you so much. Very important term. Alenka?
Yeah, I agree with everything. But knowing the small municipalities' problems and budgets, I would also report in their name that some funding opportunities are like necessary to help them out with this implementation. That's also necessary.
Thank you. Alenka, Günther, Primoz, Corina, any
Yes,
feedback?
we actually have a great tool in place now with this project where we really work on the ground and develop something that should bring us there. So this is the first step to make this happen and make it a big success.
Good. So we will contribute. That's good. Corina?
For me, I think it's the first action we need is to improve the knowledge and the technical skills of local authorities and wastewater operators to implement this type of treatment. So natural-based solution. This is vital for us to learn first and action after.
Thank you so much, Corina. Primoz, any word from your side?
I think it was pretty much said, all of it, so it's hard to pick up one, but yeah, the money, I think the budget is the obvious one. So apart from that, I think I would agree with Daria. So really building on capacity, knowledge, awareness on the existing systems. And yeah, maybe just to make a bridge, because we talked so much about the needs, what stakeholder needs, what is the knowledge. So actually shortly in the next weeks, we will share with stakeholders in the region. We will prepare a survey asking about this. What do you need in order to understand better this system? And based on this survey, we will actually prepare training programs and materials that will fulfill with the stakeholder needs. So yeah, you will be contacted, and thanks in advance also to sharing your views, your needs, because this will be important elements for us to prepare future trainings, webinars, handbooks, roadmaps that fulfill to your needs and expectation in this sector.
Thank you so much, Primoz. I would also like to bring in a comment from Monica from Romania, set up mandatory affordable wastewater management solutions. Also to conclude this discussion, thank you to all the speakers and panelists for joining us today. It was a pleasure for me to moderate this first webinar of the DCLEAN project. And as pointed out earlier, this is the first in a series of 6, so please stay tuned. You should be able to find the links to our website in the chat. You can sign up for the newsletter there, but maybe even more important, follow us on LinkedIn. Also, that link should be available in the chat, because there we will frequently post updates and news on deliverables, reports, but also webinars that we are going to host. In addition, just for your information, as pointed out earlier, we will upload the presentations and also the recording to the website. We will share it with everyone who has registered for this webinar. And yeah, finally, my key takeaways are actually 2 for today. Make nature-based solutions state-of-the-art and train the owners. So I hope you also had good key takeaways. And with that, I wish you a good afternoon. Thank you so much and goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Goodbye.